Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Lifestyle Empowerment Podcast. So, on today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is why am I doing this podcast, what this podcast is going to be about, and give a little bit of history of myself for those that don't know me. And so, this is my first time ever doing something like this, so probably going to be a lot of trial and error. A lot of people have been like, okay, why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And like I've had a lot of resentment over the years towards social media or just the whole entire social media platform, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whichever. And that's because I always thought like you had to be perfect. You know, I had to have the camera angles right. The lighting had to be perfect. If I screwed up a word, the video was over. I had to restart and do it all over again. And that kind of like really hindered me from like filming content and getting more reach and just ultimately helping more people. Because I was so worried about like potential lack of engagement and likes and comments and everything. And then I would just look stupid. And I came to like eventually realize that, okay, even if I got minimal engagement, even if the content was subpar, whichever, I still have a much better chance of reaching a wider audience than not doing anything at all. Because a lot of people don't know me, they don't know anything about me, they don't know what I do. And so because of that, recently I hired out for someone to manage my social media. I might be butchering the words here. Obviously, she would know better. So it's my friend Angela, and her Instagram handle is digital.with.angela. And so far, I'm very pleased. She's been wonderful to work with. She is a hard ass. She is on me all the time. She puts me in my place when needed. But most importantly, she supports me. She roots for me. She makes me realize that I have a lot to offer and that she is capable of bringing that to light. So like one time we were on a phone call and she told me, she's like, you are fighting your own gifts. And that was a really, really big deal, just those words, because that's exactly what I do. And mainly because of the fears around this and so worried about backlash, even to the point where like, I thought, okay, like I'm reading off of a piece of paper here. I thought you can do that. No, you cannot do that. That's not professional. That's whatever. And then I spend a lot of time watching podcasts and listening to podcasts and seeing it. It's a conversation. It's just a normal conversation between two human beings, or even though I'm speaking to just the camera right now, it's just a normal conversation. And those who know me know I'm really good at conversation, or for the most part anyways, I believe. So I just said, hey, why the hell not? I have the equipment. I got a fancy mic here. I got a fancy camera. I got the support. I got the computer loaded up here. And so I said, hey, let's go for it. And what really, really triggered actually was another friend of mine, Matthew Flynn. He's got the Flynn Physique podcast. He had me on his show, and I was nervous at first. I almost didn't want to do it, once again, just because of the fears. And we had gone through it, and at first he had to stop because everyone knows that I can get very technical. And I think the reason behind getting very technical with things is, one, I do love it. I love this stuff. I love nerding out. I love learning. I love all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I always felt like I had something to prove. And if I didn't talk very like intricate, nuanced details and you know, bigger words, that people would maybe think, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But at the end of the day, my success does the talking. For me, I've come to learn. And I've also found using smaller words works really good. So in the last little while, I've been focusing a lot on like analogies and helping break things down into simplistic forms. And also, like I said, also working with Angela, she has really helped me understand that. And like a big thing that I always believe, can't remember, I don't know who said it, but it was something along the lines of a true intelligent human being should be able to explain any process to a toddler. And that's kind of what I'm working towards, not only to provide good educational content that people can actually absorb and learn, because some of the stuff that I've put out just goes over people's heads, but just, you know, to not deter people away from whether it be learning from me or working with me or whichever, because sometimes that can be very intimidating. So, needless to say, there's like a lot that I have learned over the years, and I've been saying recently in the last year or so, like you can have all the knowledge in the world, but that doesn't necessarily make you a good coach. If you cannot communicate properly, if you don't have that empathy, uh, under lack of understanding, and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, right? I've come to learn that that part doesn't work. So I've spent the last little while becoming an actual coach. And I think every day there's always something to work on, but I believe I'm progressing every day. And I think I've been doing much better with clients in that terms. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will have feedback for that, but it's a work in progress. Everything's a work in progress. And it's the same with this. Like, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of trial and error with this podcast, figuring things out. What is a podcast? What people want. And so, like, I am very open to feedback and recommendations for this. I'm very indecisive with these kind of things, especially when it's something like that's not in my field per se. So, for example, like Angela is working on a logo right now, and I'm just like, I don't know. And she had a great idea. She's like, let's put up a post. People can choose, because we're just trying to like create a more simplistic logo and then probably rebrand in the new year or something like that. But right now the focus is just trying to reach more people, help more people ultimately is what the goal is, and just provide great content that people actually enjoy and like to watch. So yeah, here I am starting this podcast now. And ultimately, like, of course I care how it does, but at the same time, I'm just happy to be doing this. And so essentially what I'm looking to achieve with this podcast is obviously educational content, because Instagram in itself is made for just short, consumable format of whichever, like, for example, coffee post came out today, but just nice and short that people can understand. For the individuals that want more from me, to within limits, obviously, this is a place where I'd like to provide educational content. I have a YouTube channel. These videos will be posted to YouTube channel. I'm going to plan on loading these podcasts up to Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that, or Apple, Spotify, however it goes. Apple Podcast. See, that right there would have made me quit filming, and I would have had a temper tantrum and started all over. And it doesn't matter, right? Mistakes happen, and I'm not a robot. And so that's a big learning curve for me. So anyways, I'm going to talk about like educational content, some of the heavy stuff, which will go on the YouTube channel. And so if people are interested, they can listen to this. And then podcast form is just so like you're driving, right? You're driving, because I personally, like, in the car, that's the only thing that's ever playing is podcasts. And I love Lex Friedman. I love his guests. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to achieve. And also, too, I will bring guests on. I've already asked a few people who I asked if they're interested, and they said yes. And it's going to be from different fields. It's all going to kind of come back to the foundation of health and fitness. But, for example, like I work with quite a handful of menopausal females. And I would love to have a conversation with one of them in the daily life and the struggles that they experience and the progression that they've made. Parents with kids, stuff like that, massage therapists, everything, other trainers, other coaches. I plan to do a lot. I know the market is kind of getting saturated with this kind of stuff. That's all right, right? Hopefully mine will stick out in some way. I do have some good amount of support. I got my long-term followers. And that was another big thing too, which I finally realized and kind of led me to starting this, was it's hard not to base your success off of your Instagram likes, because you think that, okay, the more likes I get means the more people I'm reaching, the more business I'm going to bring in, the more people I can help. And then like some of my content would get like barely any likes, but then over time, people would message me and they would be like, hey, like I saw this post or whatever. And in my mind, like, why didn't you like it? Right? But you don't have to like every post to actually like it, because there's posts that I see. Now, in my personal opinion, though, I like everything. Like, especially if it's someone that I really, really support, unless it's like some obscene information or something, I won't even watch it and I'll like it. And then I'll kind of watch it, right? Because I support that person. So it was hard for me to wrap my head around that and thinking, okay, well, why are these people not liking it, but they're following my stuff? And so needless to say, I learned that it doesn't go unnoticed. And so this is why I want to do this, because as mentioned, even if this gets minimal likes, minimal engagement, I know somebody's still watching, and I know somebody's taking away informative content from me, and I'm hopefully making someone's life better. And so, yeah, I'm just going to keep pumping these out. I already have like a full list of subjects I would like to talk about. And I'm thinking probably one a week. I think that's the average for podcasts. Plus, it takes, I still have to learn how to edit properly and, upload everything and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm looking at one a week kind of thing. And I'll say again, feedback, recommendations, something you want me to talk about, please put them in, whether it's in comments, whether you direct message me, text me, whatever. I am 100% open to this. And just like any criticism, right? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know if the camera angle is right. I'm hoping the lighting's good. I put some good effort in. I got a nice little tree back there. Whatever feedback I am greatly appreciative of, and I really want that feedback so I can be better for you guys. Because at the end of the day, like, this is the Lifestyle Empowerment Podcast. And the reason I went with that name is because I know most people go with their names. So like you got, Lex Friedman podcast, you got Joe Rogan podcast. But I think my name, full name, sounds weird. And I think Lifestyle Empowerment sounds great, And so, once again, though, I'm open to feedback. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the gist of the podcast. And then to quickly tap on, like, for me, my history, as mentioned, for those that don't know me. So I've had a lifelong list of health complications, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what I do. And it's one of the reasons why I believe I'm good at what I do, because I've experienced some things firsthand. Now, although I work with a handful of females, I've obviously not experienced having irregular cycles and all that kind of stuff. But still, when you look at the physiology and the understanding and the learning and everything, and just going through hard times, period, it's really helped me, not only like from an actual knowledge standpoint, but from an actual like spiritual and psychological standpoint. For example, working with someone right now, he kind of has the exact same, shall I use the word mannerisms as I did when I was going through a gut protocol. And he's like apologizing and asking if he's too much. I'm like, no, I get this. Like my mentor, Blake Grove, I just blew up his phone constantly. And that's why, bless his heart, he put up with it all. I don't know of any other coach that would have done that. And so, yeah, like I'm forever grateful for Blake Grove. Kiss his ass a lot. but so no, I understand what people are going through. And so I was born not breathing, in and out of the hospital at a young age, from what I was told. I know I have my earliest memories of like distended gut and temper tantrums and body dysmorphia, all this kind of stuff, traumas and everything, poorly handled, poor relationships, everything. And, I kind of hit it all. I kind of like fought through it all. And for me, it was about size. Like I just wanted to be big. Like I wanted to put on a bunch of muscle because something happened when I was younger, and it really triggered in my brain that, okay, you need to be really big for people to respect you and be kind to you and love you and all that kind of stuff. And I tell you, that messes with your head. And that led to a lot of substance abuse. And that substance abuse led to even further health complications and exacerbating the existing ones. And ultimately, long story short, I won't go on too long. I discovered that crazy neurotransmitter imbalances, crazy hormonal imbalances, SIBO, opportunistic overgrowth, so bad bacteria, altering brain chemistry, making you crazy, right? Horrible bloating, gas, aches and pains. I never slept properly. At one point, I had an extremely severe case of sleep apnea. I stopped breathing 71 times an hour, and my oxygen levels dropped down to 75%. I had to use like a CPAP machine. And at the time, this girl I was seeing, she would like force me to wear it because, she cared for me. But I hated it because like you're lying in bed next to someone, you got this Darth Vader mask going on. So I'd put it on, and I think she would laugh, or one of us would laugh, which would make me laugh, which would make the laugh sound even funnier. And then it was just a big laughing fit. And it was like, I was so annoying. And like I was working the drilling rigs at one point, and I was staying in a tent. And at the beginning of the hitch, it was so hot, I needed a fan. Middle of the hitch was all right. By the end of the hitch, my sleep apnea machine was freezing because it uses distilled water to keep moisture. And so that was just a horrible experience. And they told me that this sleep apnea was incurable, that you would never rid of it because it's a central nervous system disorder. And I think it was 8 or 9 months I was able to rid of that sleep apnea. I've never had to use a sleep apnea machine since. Now, there are times if I'm not taking very good care of myself that it could come back, like if I'm laying on my back or something. So I go to the extremes and I use breather strips. That's why, where is it here? Camera angle, no, this way. That's why I got this here, because they're so strong. They rip my skin, so you gotta be careful. But I also tape my mouth shut. And then that really helps me with snoring. And then I try to sleep on my left side. I have 2 dogs, and the way they sleep, they keep me propped up on my left side pretty good for the most part. So my sleep has significantly improved. But the latest findings of my health complications are immune system problems and this big exposure to mold. And when you look at the mold exposure, we can probably date it back to quite a while, especially just thinking of the environments that I was in and just my behaviors and health and everything. But that really scared me. Normally when I get tests, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I can't wait to fix this issue. I'm so excited to see that I am screwed up. That explains that it was my justification for poor behaviors, poor brain function, poor sleep, lack of motivation, you name it. I'm like, sweet. If I'm doing this well with these health issues, I can imagine what it's going to be like when I correct these health issues and start to feel much better. And so I've usually thought that way, but when I got the mold test back and I read into how much it deteriorates the brain and the kidneys and all this kind of stuff, it was like, it brought me down. I was very sad that day. And then thankfully, after having a mentor call with my mentor, Blake, he told me that you can look it up, and I went and looked and saw all the webinars and the scans. They pretty much reversed any brain deterioration, like 100%. With these protocols. And so this has really brought faith in, and then I feel much better. And like when you're talking memory, like hormones can really affect memory. Stress, as we all know, really affects memory, shrinks the hippocampus, responsible for memory. But you look at mold and really has an impact on your memory. And like I would be talking to people mid-sentence and just forget what I'm talking about. And it was the most infuriating thing I'd ever experienced. I just felt stupid. And I tell everybody that, you know, I do care about my physique. My body is my billboard. I like to take care of myself, but this is what's most important to me. And as soon as this has a problem, I'm not in a good place. And I take it out on others and everything. And so recently we've really gotten over this hump, and like it has resolved the poor memory issue. And so just experiencing the power of what health truly is. Because I made a post a while back about because people would be like, this is around COVID, and be like, oh, well, healthy people are experiencing this too. And I was like, well, who are you to say that this person is healthy? A lot of people look at me and think that I'm healthy. I have many tests, genetic tests, mycotoxin tests, Dutch tests, GI maps, meteor release tests, being like, no, this person is not healthy. And that's a hard pill to swallow. That's even a hard pill. That's hard to admit to anybody, right? Because you think that's going to take away respect people have for you. And that's another thing that I learned big time, was admitting to your health complications, but working on them. People actually respected me more. And they respected me more because like, oh, this guy might actually know what I'm going through. And that really helped me. It really helped my business too. And so that was a big thing. And so like just being open and honest with people about what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing, instead of putting up this, look at me, I'm so healthy, I do everything right, and blah, 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 when that was pretty far from the truth. It doesn't, because I always thought, okay, your own health complications make you, if you can't take care of yourself, that means you're not probably good at taking care of others. There's a fine line there. Sometimes I feel that way and it shows, but sometimes coaching yourself is really difficult. It is very difficult. Especially in that state, when your entire brain chemistry is altered by bacteria and mold and everything, you make very poor decisions. You justify really shitty things. It's like food. Like when I went through my first gut protocol, I was so worried about losing size. And then when you look at like candida can really promote brain chemistry to have cravings, I would justify, well, I need to eat this burger because I'm losing weight and I'm angry, so this burger is going to help me, when in reality that was so far from the truth. And now I'm in a state where I have zero cravings. Like today I'm only eating 700 calories and I have zero cravings. And so I've gotten my body into a very good place where I do feel healthy but I'm still not done. So I'm like super, super excited to see what comes of this in the next like 6 to 8 months, in a year, what's going to happen. And so anyways, yeah, just going way off here. Many health complications, mental health issues, you name it, substance abuse, everything. These are all the things that I have experienced in my life, and that I believe that I am conquering. And so with that conquering of these health issues has given me more confidence, more motivation, more ambition to do things like this, to improve social media. Angela has made up a wicked freaking website. I can't wait. She's going to be launching at least the front page here soon. I'm so looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm very excited for the future. Very, very excited for the future. And I cannot wait, to do more of these, to provide more content, to work with more people. And this is a very exhausting job, but it's a job that I signed up for because it is a very, very rewarding job. I've experienced some great things in my life. I've met some absolutely amazing people who have helped me through some of the worst times I've ever had in my life. And even though I've maybe backlashed towards them because of these health complications affecting my personality, my behavioral traits, they have stuck by me this whole time. Clients too, right? Like clients, like I have clients that, we've done 75 different protocols. And can't figure out. They stuck with me though. They stuck with me. And now I'm at a point in my career where it's like, I know exactly what to do with this individual. It's just a matter of time, or it's a matter of a little more diagnosing, but it's not like, oh, let's try this and see if it works. Let's try this and see if it works. No, this is what we need. We might just need to tweak it a little bit, but I'm at that point in my career now. And so I am forever grateful for these people for sticking through with it. And yeah, I cannot say that enough. Because without that, I would not be where I am. I would not have the knowledge that I have. I would not have the rapport that I have with people. It's just super, super grateful. So I think that pretty much is going to sum up this episode. That's something that needs to be worked on, is how to close these out. Once again, this is my first time ever. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. So, as mentioned, this podcast will be on Spotify, Apple Podcast. It'll be on YouTube. I think if I can get on any other stuff, I will. I have to look into all that. But yeah, you guys can check out my Instagram. It's that.coach.curtis. And website, like I said, it's under construction right now. Some stuff is coming, but that is lifestyle-empowerment.ca. There is only one E, so it goes lifestyle, and then it's the letter empowerment. I just thought that looked better. And then my YouTube channel is Lifestyle Empowerment as well. Everything will all be connected. And your support is greatly appreciated. Any engagement, I love it. I'm just happy to be reaching people. And I'm glad that I'm finally doing this, and, we'll see what the future holds. So yeah, thank you for anyone that's listening, anyone that's watching in. What I think I'm going to say at the end of each episode is kind of what I'm going to talk about on the next episodes. And so next episode, I'm going to be talking about the importance of check-ins. So thank you again for everyone listening in and watching in. Hope you have a great night.